Chosen one. Before you scroll past this message, before you allow the busyness of your day to pull your attention somewhere else, I need you to stop and truly receive what heaven is speaking over your life in this moment. What you are about to hear has been prepared specifically for you, not for the person beside you, not for someone else in a different season of life. For you, the one who has been waiting, the one who has been praying, the one who has looked at the calendar and wondered why the breakthrough that was promised still has not arrived in the way you expected it to. God has a word for you today, and that word begins with this truth. Every single delay you have experienced in your life was not a punishment. It was not a sign that God had forgotten you. It was not evidence that your prayers were going unanswered or that your faith was too weak to produce results. Every delay you walked through, every season that stretched longer than you expected, every prayer that seemed to sit in silence without a visible response, was doing something inside you that could not have been accomplished any other way. It was shaping your spirit, and it was preparing your miracle. The lie that delay tells, there is a lie that delay whispers to every waiting heart. It is a quiet and persistent lie, and it sounds so reasonable in the middle of a long season of waiting that even the strongest faith can begin to waver under its weight. The lie says that nothing is happening. The lie says that God has moved on. The lie says that the promises spoken over your life were either misunderstood or simply not meant for you. The lie says that other people receive their breakthroughs, but yours somehow keeps getting pushed further away. That lie is one of the most dangerous weapons the enemy uses against chosen hearts. Because if he can convince you that your waiting is meaningless, he can convince you to stop believing right before the miracle arrives. He can get you to lay down your faith at the very moment when holding on would have changed everything. But chosen one, hear this clearly today. Delay is not denial. Silence is not abandonment. A season of waiting is not a sign that the promise has been canceled. It is a sign that God is being thorough. It is a sign that He is not willing to release into your life something that you are not yet fully prepared to carry, steward, and sustain. The delay was never about the miracle being too far away. It was about you being made ready to receive it. What happens in the waiting? Most people focus on what is not happening during a season of delay. They count the days. They measure the silence. They compare their timeline to the timelines of people around them and wonder why their season seems longer, harder, and more resistant to change. But God is not focused on what is not happening during your waiting season. He is intensely focused on what is happening inside you while you wait. Because the waiting season is where the real work takes place. When you are forced to trust without seeing, your faith is being built into something that cannot be shaken by circumstances. When you are required to believe without evidence, your confidence in God is being rooted deeper than any storm could ever reach. When you continue to pray, even though the answers are not arriving on your schedule, your relationship with God is being deepened into an intimacy that could not have been formed any other way. Patience is not simply the ability to wait. Patience is the ability to maintain a good attitude, a trusting heart, and an unshaken spirit while waiting. And patience of that quality is not something that can be taught in a classroom or downloaded in a moment of inspiration. It can only be built through the actual experience of waiting, through the real and sometimes painful process of holding on when letting go would have been easier. Every day you waited and did not give up, patience was being woven into the fabric of your character. Every morning you woke up and chose to believe one more day. Endurance was being forged in your spirit. Every night you prayed through tears and still refused to stop trusting. Your faith was being refined into something that will carry you through every future season without breaking. The delay was the workshop where God was crafting the version of you that the miracle required. The story of every great life. Chosen one. Look back through history at every person whose life carried great purpose and left a lasting impact on the world around them. Without exception, every single one of them walked through long seasons of delay, and waiting before the promise of their life became visible. Joseph waited in a prison cell for years before the door opened and his destiny was revealed. David was anointed as king and then returned to the fields to tend sheep, waiting through rejection and persecution before the throne was finally his. Abraham waited decades for the son that had been promised before Isaac was placed in his arms. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before he stood before Pharaoh and declared the freedom of a nation. Every one of these lives carried extraordinary purpose, and every one of them was forged through extraordinary seasons of waiting. This is not a coincidence. This is a pattern that God has woven through human history to demonstrate a truth that cannot be bypassed or shortcut. Great purpose requires great preparation, and great preparation always takes time. The depth of the calling on your life is reflected in the length of the preparation your spirit has required. If your waiting has been long and your trials have been deep, it is not because your destiny is small. It is because your destiny is greater than you have yet fully understood. The waiting was proportional to the weight of what is coming, and what is coming is worth every single moment of the preparation it required. What the delay was specifically doing in you, let us be specific about what these seasons of delay have been building inside you. Chosen one, because understanding what was being formed in the waiting will help you recognize why the miracle that is coming will fit you so perfectly. First, the delay was building humility. There is a kind of humility that cannot be manufactured by good intentions. It can only be produced by seasons where pride is stripped away and the soul is left with nothing to lean on except the faithfulness of God. Every moment when you could not fix your own situation, every time the solution was clearly outside your ability to produce, was a moment where genuine humility was being formed in your character. And humility is the soil in which God's greatest blessings grow. He does not pour his richest gifts into proud hearts that will credit themselves for what only his grace could produce. He pours them into humble hearts that have learned through experience that every good thing comes from above. Second, the delay was building compassion. You cannot truly comfort someone in a valley you have never visited yourself. You cannot speak genuine hope into a situation you have never personally survived. But now, because of every season of waiting you have endured, because of every long night of uncertainty you have walked through, you carry an ability to reach into the pain of another person's waiting season with a depth of understanding that only comes from shared experience. The compassion being built in you through your trials is not only for your own benefit. It is a gift that will flow through you into the lives of people who are still in the middle of their own long seasons of waiting. Third, the delay was building wisdom. Wisdom is not information. Wisdom is the ability to apply truth to real situations in ways that produce right outcomes. And wisdom of that quality is only developed through experience. Specifically, through the experience of walking through difficult seasons, making decisions in the middle of uncertainty, and watching how God moves in ways that the natural mind could never have predicted or planned. Every season of delay you have lived through has been a classroom where wisdom was being deposited into your spirit. The wisdom you now carry is not theoretical. It is lived. It is tested. It is real. And it will serve you and everyone connected to your life in ways that are still unfolding. Fourth, the delay was building unshakable faith. Faith that has never been tested is fragile. It sounds strong in comfortable seasons, but crumbles when real pressure arrives. But faith that has been tested through long seasons of waiting. Faith that has survived the silence of God and come out still believing on the other side. That kind of faith is unshakable. It has been proven. It has been tried in the fire and come out refined rather than destroyed. The faith you carry right now is not the same faith you started with. It is stronger, deeper, more resilient, and more powerful than it has ever been before. And it is exactly the kind of faith that your next season is going to require. The miracle was being prepared simultaneously. Here is something that will bring tremendous peace to your heart. Chosen one, while the delay was shaping your spirit on one side, something equally significant was happening on the other side. While God was preparing you for the miracle, he was also preparing the miracle for you. The people who are meant to be part of your breakthrough were being positioned. Circumstances that needed to align were being carefully arranged. Situations that stood as obstacles were being quietly dismantled from the inside. Doors that looked permanently sealed were being worked on from the other side in ways that your natural eyes could not see. Resources that you will need were being gathered and directed toward the moment of your breakthrough. Nothing about the miracle coming into your life is being improvised. God has been working on every detail with the same precision and intentionality that he used when he formed the universe. The timing was not random. The preparation was not accidental. Every piece of the miracle that is approaching your life has been crafted to fit perfectly with who you have become through the very seasons of waiting that once made you question everything. The delay was not God being slow. It was God being thorough. He was making sure that when the miracle arrived, every single piece would be in its right place, that the people would be ready, that the circumstances would be aligned, that you would be prepared to receive, steward, and sustain everything that was about to be placed in your hands. That thoroughness is now complete, and the miracle that was being prepared on the other side of your waiting is now moving toward you with a momentum that nothing can stop. Signs that the season is shifting. Chosen one, as you move forward from this moment, there are signs that will begin appearing in your life that will confirm what heaven has already declared. Learn to recognize them, because they will arrive in quiet and sometimes unexpected ways. You will begin to notice a peace settling over situations that once caused constant anxiety. This peace will not always make logical sense, given the circumstances around you, but it will be real and it will be steady. That peace is the signature of God's presence, moving into the spaces of your life that once felt most chaotic and uncertain. You will begin to notice conversations shifting. People who once seemed closed off or resistant will begin to soften. Relationships that felt stuck or strained will begin to move in new directions. Opportunities that seemed distant will begin drawing unexpectedly closer. These are not coincidences. They are the visible evidence of the invisible work that God has been doing on your behalf throughout the entire season of your waiting. You will also begin to notice a clarity returning to your sense of direction and purpose. The confusion that may have clouded your thoughts during the waiting season will begin to lift. Ideas will come to your mind with a freshness and precision that tells you they are not coming from your own effort alone. Paths that once looked completely blocked will begin to reveal themselves as open in ways you did not previously see. This clarity is heaven orienting your spirit toward the next steps of the journey that your miracle is opening up before you. Pay attention to these signs. Receive them with gratitude. They are breadcrumbs from heaven marking the path of your breakthrough. A word to the one who is nearly exhausted. Perhaps as you receive this message, you are in a place of deep weariness. Perhaps the waiting has stretched so long that your strength feels genuinely thin. Perhaps there have been moments recently, quiet and private moments, when you wondered whether you had anything left to give to this season of faith. Perhaps the tears have come more easily lately, and the hope has felt harder to hold on to than it once did. If that is where you are right now, this part of the message is specifically for you. God sees your exhaustion. He does not judge it. He does not use it as evidence against you. He sees it as evidence of how long and how faithfully you have been holding on. He sees a heart that did not quit, even when quitting would have been the most understandable response to everything you have walked through. He sees a spirit that kept choosing faith, even when faith felt like the most difficult choice available. And that exhausted, faithful, still believing heart of yours is precious to God. It has moved him deeply. It has not gone unnoticed in heaven. Every moment of weary faith you have offered has been received as a treasure, and the response that heaven is sending into your life is not proportional to your strength. It is proportional to your faithfulness. You do not need to find more strength to receive what God is releasing. You simply need to remain open, remain willing. Remain in the posture of trust that your spirit knows even when your emotions feel stretched thin, because what is coming does not require you to arrive at your breakthrough in perfect condition. It simply requires you to arrive. And you are still here. You are still standing. You are still believing. That is Enog. That has always been enough. The other side of your waiting, chosen one. There is a version of your life waiting on the other side of this season that you have not yet been able to fully picture. A version where the weight you have been carrying has lifted. A version where the questions that kept you awake at night have been answered in ways that left you in tears of gratitude rather than tears of uncertainty. A version where you look back at every single delay, every long season of waiting, every night of silent prayer, and you understand with complete clarity why every moment was necessary. On that side of the waiting, you will not wish the journey had been shorter. You will understand why it took exactly as long as it did. You will see how every piece of the preparation produced exactly the version of yourself that was needed to carry the miracle, sustain the blessing, and steward the purpose that God had always planned for your life. That version of your life is not a fantasy. It is not too good to be true. It is the promise that was written over you before you were born, being fulfilled one prepared and purposeful step at a time. The delay is ending. The shaping is complete. The miracle is ready. And chosen one, so are you. Type Hyman. If you receive this word today, share this message with someone who is still in the middle of their waiting season and needs to know that their delay is not the end of their story. It is the preparation for the greatest chapter yet to come. Hold on. Heaven has already responded. Your miracle is on its way.